Hi, I'm Chef Raphael and welcome to this video. Now, this is one recipe that I've always wanted to do and I've got so many requests. I'm going to show you how to make Black Forest cake. Now, this has cherries on it, it has chocolate, it has fresh whipped cream. I would not say it's super simple to make, but on this video, I will show you the process from start to finish, how to make the cake sponge itself, how to whip the cream and how to finish it to get to this. And I can't wait to end this video so that I actually dig in. Let's get baking. A big shout out to the sponsors of this video, Tap Send. With Tap Send, send more, spend less. More about it within the video. So when it comes to the ingredients of this cake, I will start with the cake part of it, the Genoise. It's actually called a Genoise, or basically a sponge cake. Now this cake does not have any rising agent, doesn't have any baking powder or bicarbonate or yeast for that matter. So it's actually raised by the eggs. So let's start with the baking part of this recipe. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you have all the ingredients ready, and you actually need to turn on the oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit in advance. So that's really important, because once you finish doing the mix, you need to put it almost immediately into the hot oven. So you have to coordinate your timing well. For the dry ingredients, we have the flour and the cocoa powder. So you mix them together, just whisk them together and then make sure they're fully mixed. But you also need a sieve. A sieve is really important because you're going to sift the flour into as you're making the cake mix, but you'll see that as I continue in the video. Now, when it comes to the eggs, the first thing you want to do is put them in a big bowl. Make sure they're at room temperature. You'll put the sugar and the vanilla into that mixture. That's the wet ingredients. So when it comes to the eggs and the sugar mixture, it's called a sabayon. So to make the sabayon, you need the pot with water, and then place the bowl with the egg and sugar on top, and then make sure that the water does not touch the bottom of the bowl. What you want is the steam to heat up the bowl, and then keep whisking it. At this point, you can actually use a hand whisk and then keep whisking until the mixture starts becoming thick and it will become frothy, and then keep doing that until it gets to a lukewarm temperature. Most importantly, if the water is too hot, if it's boiling, reduce. You do not want to cook the eggs. And also keep mixing, because if you stop, that part that is as you stop, or if you leave it not mixing, it will actually start cooking the egg, and you don't want scrambled eggs. When it's lukewarm, put it on the surface of the table and then continue whisking it. And if you have an electric mixer, actually at this point it will be much faster. So beat it until it actually doubles in volume in terms of the quantity that when you started with. It will actually be pale in color, pale yellow or creamish in color, and most importantly, it will have cooled down. So you keep mixing it basically until it cools down. And this should take about 4 minutes, especially if you're using the electric mixer. At this point, what you want to do now is to incorporate the rest of the ingredients. We have the dry ingredients, and also we have the butter. So for the butter, what you need to do is take a small amount of the sabayon, of the egg mixture, put it in a small bowl, and then mix the melted butter into the egg mixture in that small bowl. Mix it and mix it until it's completely integrated, and then pour that mixture into the bigger bowl so that it actually combines easily. Now, when it comes to the flour, what you need to do is to add it in 3 batches. When you add the whole batch of flour at once, it will collapse that egg mixture. That egg mixture, it's like that. It's actually been aerated, and if you put something too heavy, you will actually collapse. Now when you add the flour, that's also another very important point. fold the flour into the mixture. Folding is that action whereby you're moving your spatula, and especially if you're using a rubber spatula, or if you don't have that, if you have a wooden one, make sure it has a flat surface so that when you mix, you go round, down and up, and lifting up the flour so that you make sure that it's completely mixed, but gently. Do not whisk or do not stir. It's folding. Now do that with for the 3 consecutive additions of flour, like a little by a little. Of course, making sure you have sieved the flour into the mixture, and also make sure that you are breaking the lumps as you continue, and then you keep mixing it gently and gently until no flour is visible and the mixture is ready for baking. At this point, what you need to do is to put it in a baking tin. The baking tin, you should have already put a greaseproof paper on the bottom, especially if it's a round one, and then make sure it's also buttered on the inside of on the top of the baking paper, so that it actually peels away when you remove it. So pour it and then put it in the oven at 180 degrees and let it cook. So I set my oven at 25 minutes. So whenever you actually set the timer on the oven, the time is actually dependent on the size of the baking tin that you use. I set mine at 25. So the cake is done, and again, you know it's done when the knife comes out clean. And most importantly, like for mine, it actually took about 35 minutes. I had set it at 25, but I added 10 more minutes because when I had poked it, the knife was not clean. So you know it's ready. It will not have collapsed. Especially for this cake, it's really vulnerable. It doesn't have any baking powder or raising agent. It can easily collapse, especially when you open the oven door and then bang it. When you bang it, what will happen is that you're introducing cold air, which will actually hit the cake on the top and then make it collapse, and then it will stick at the center. So all now is left is to remove the cake from the baking tin and let it cool, and you can actually put it in the fridge or just leave it somewhere cool so that it cools naturally. But it also helps if you have a tray, something that will lift the cake so that it cools also on the bottom. Now, when it comes to the cream part of the cake, we have whipping cream, and whipping cream should always be cold. When you buy it, always put it in the fridge and should be at 3 degrees to 5 degrees Celsius. And then for that, you also need a little bit of sugar to sweeten that whipping cream. I didn't add a lot of sugar because the cherries that I was using have some sweetness and I don't want it to be too sweet. It can also help if your bowl is cold, you can put it in the fridge in advance so that when you whip it, it will actually whip faster. Just keep whipping until you get soft peaks, and basically that's when it's soft. Don't overmix it, because if you overmix the whipping cream, you'll actually turn it into butter. So when the cream is ready, cover it and put it in the fridge, ready for use on the next stage. As you watch this video, do you live abroad and you want to send money to your family and friends fast and with great rates? Now with tap send, you actually see the rate and the exact amount that the receiver will get. This is for you who is abroad, who wants to send money to your family. Now, another great thing is the fact that it will come instantly. So the first time you actually use the app, use my code Chef Raphael and you'll actually get cashback. With tap send, you send more and spend less. Now back to the video. So when it comes to the cherries, the first thing you want to do is to drain the liquid into a bowl, because that liquid is the one that you'll use to soak the cake and basically make the cake moist and soft. If you have some cherry brandy, or in my case I didn't have that and I couldn't find that, what I used a little bit of regular brandy, or that is optional. So you put a little bit on the liquid, and then for the drained cherries you can actually put a small amount of it also on the cherries. So now the cake is cooled down. Now what you want to do is to cut it into two, basically cut it at the center to have two pieces. And the trick when it comes to cutting it into two is to cut it round as you're turning the cake, but as you're cutting it, you're not cutting it to the inside, you're just cutting it on the surface, but basically taking it round so that you have one continuous line as you're taking it the cake. And then when you get to the other side from where you started, you now can cut on the inside and go inside, and then the cake will actually be two equal sizes. If you cut it on from one end to the other just like that, you'll tend to have a wedge cake. After cutting it, is take the liquid from the cherries and then put it on the cake. When you're putting it on the cake, don't put too much on one portion, just make sure you spread it evenly and make sure that the whole cake is covered by that liquid, and do that on both sides of the cake. When that is done, what you now need to do is to get the cream from the fridge and then put it on that the bottom layer, and then put the cream and then level it so that it's actually nice and even. How much of the cream is actually up to you. You can put slightly thick or slightly thin, but to make it nice, it actually should be about ½ an inch thick. After putting the cream and leveling it, take your cherries and then spread them on top of that layer of cream evenly, so that depending on the amount of cherries that you want, it's up to you. I want to have an even spread of the cherries, and then when that is done, take now the other half of the cake and put it on top, and then take the cream and then put it on a big amount on top of the cake and then spread it. So it helps if you have a turntable, but if you don't have a turntable, even you can actually spin the plate. If you are placing the cake on a plate, spin it as you are spreading it, and it's a good idea if you have a spatula, like either an offset spatula or a spatula like the one I'm using. So as you keep on spreading the cream, also put another layer for the sides, and then keep spinning the cake as you spread the cream on the sides. And then basically you want an even layer on the top and on the sides. So the next thing now is the chocolate, the dark chocolate. For the dark chocolate, what you can do is shave it, use a grater in advance, or have something that you can shave on top of the cake like I'm doing right now. And then basically you want to have an even layer of the chocolate shavings on top, and then for the sides, do the shavings on a plate on the side, and then stick them to the sides of the cake so that it has an even coating of chocolate shavings. All that now is left is to garnish. So for garnishing, take the small amount of the whipped cream. If you have a piping bag, pipe some nice, have an even sized number on top, and then garnish it with a little bit of the cherries, the one that you have left over on top of that, and the cake is done. So now the cake is ready, and I actually have it here, and I actually want to taste. Now I want to describe the flavor that I'm going to get now. See, there is that chocolate shavings and the cherries itself. It has a nice crunch to it. The cake should be moist from the liquid that we put. If you don't put the liquid, it actually be a dry cake. So this is like a dessert cake, and nice. What I love about it is the cherries, the texture. The cream gives it a nice flavor, dairy flavor. It's awesome. Now I hope you've seen and have understood the process of making a proper Black Forest cake, and you'll get to appreciate how it's made. And most importantly, what I want you to understand is that if you do not see the ingredients that I've used, like the ones I've used, the cherries, the fresh whipping cream, and maybe it has the artificial cream. The artificial cream is good, but it's not the same as the fresh whipping cream. So if you can make it, let me know in the comment section if you get to make it, and let me know how yours turned out. And for more baking recipes, I have a whole playlist with baking videos. Check it out, and I'll put the link on the video. And most importantly, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.